What's going on, everyone? I wanted to do a demonstration that shows how to use the motion tracker and a way that you can like kind of mask elements with a shape tween. So try not to get too long with this, but let me get right to it. Let me show you exactly what I'm going to try to do right here. So just real simple. Have this text kind of be revealed from his jacket, right? And then also motion tracked to the handlebars of the bike. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start over. I'm going to start a new project. And I will not save. I'd like me to save this project. So I'm going to save it on my desktop. Okay. So new project, and first thing I want to do is import the video. So for those of you, I have the video somewhere. If you're on Canvas, the video should be in your files. You just want to get to your video source, and mine is. You can just drag it right into your project panel. Then you can right click on it or double click on it and say new comp from selection. So it's going to create a composition based on the size and everything of the video. Now, so this is the video, and I basically want to start from about here, right when this kind of jacket is kind of about to reveal. So the first thing I want to add is a motion tracker. So I want to do it to the handlebars, and if I kind of scrub through this, I see a part of the handlebars that's kind of always sticks out, this little black piece, and it kind of never gets covered up after they're out in the open. So I want to put the motion tracker on that piece. So as soon as that piece is revealed, so about right there, I'm going to add the motion tracker. To add the motion tracker, you're going to have to make sure I'm in the movie right now, but I'm going to double click on it to make sure I'm really in the movie. As you know, the composition changes to the movie, the actual movie being playing. Then I'm going to say track motion in the motion tracker dialog. So if you don't have this over here, this tracker dialog, go to Windows and select tracker. Okay. So tracker dialog, and I said track motion, and it's going to say it's tracking from movie, blah blah blah. That's the title, and it gives me this track point. Okay, so I am going to move this track point, the middle of it. Like I said, if you grab it in between these lines, then you can drag the whole thing with it. If you drag the actual lines, it'll kind of drag it without the center point. You want everything to go with it. If you drag the anchor points, it'll allow you to resize it. So drag inside in between the lines, and I'm going to kind of just right over this really dark part of the bike. Okay, and I'm just going to actually make this a little smaller, so it's just right on it, and make this a little smaller. Okay, you just kind of have to play with it. Every video would be different. And once I do that, I can just hit this in the tracker menu. I can hit this. You can't hit the space bar just to play it. You have to hit this analyze button to make it analyze the movement, and it's going to actually set keyframes for the movement. So I'm going to zoom out, then I'm going to analyze it as it goes. So I can see it's following that piece pretty good, and I'm going to stop it when the scene changes. Okay, so I'm gonna stop it about right there. The scene change is about right there, so I can even just you can see if you hit U, so if you're still in your movie and you hit U, the U button, it'll bring up your motion tracker dialog, and you can kind of see the keyframes that were created. Since it kind of stops right here in the timeline, I'm just gonna go ahead and delete the keyframes I don't need. Okay, so I don't really need all these now. So have my tracker, and it's tracking pretty good. So I want to go back to pretty much the beginning, somewhere in there, and I'm going to go back to my composition, my main composition, and I'm going to add a null object. So you're going to double click, right click in this open area of the timeline, go to new, and I'm going to select null object. This null object is going to be the object that I'm going to tie to this motion tracker. So the null object is going to do exactly what the motion tracker is doing. Right now the motion tracker I can't utilize it, but the null object is an actual object. I can kind of use it to my liking, but it's just like a invisible object. Now see, it automatically defaults to top right, the anchor point, but you don't have to do this, but it just makes me feel better. I'm gonna hit A for anchor point, and I'm just going to change that anchor point to the middle, and it's usually like 50-50. So I could change that and change that here. And I'm doing it right from the timeline. Okay. So I'm gonna grab I don't have to grab anything. Now what I want to do is I want to name this null object. Hit enter while you click on the name. I'm gonna name it tracker data. You can name it whatever you want. And I'm going to make sure that the tracker, so I'm going to go back to my movie, click on the movie layer, and for the tracker, for the target, so it has this button that says edit target, click on edit target, and make sure that the layer that it has targeting is that tracker data layer that I just created. Okay, hit OK. And then I'm hit apply. You must hit apply. And I want it to go X and Y dimensions. Now I'm gonna do an experiment right now, and well, do I want to do it? I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna do the X and Y. So I want it to kind of move up and down, left and right, depending on where the track point is. Okay, so now you can see it automatically puts this null layer over top of where that tracker data, where that motion tracker was. You can see it kind of moves along with the handlebars now, the null object. Okay, next thing I want to do is I want to associate some text with this null object. So I'm going to click on the text tool, and I'm just going to type in the name of this flick, Eviction. And right now I'm not too concerned where it is, but the main thing, I kind of wanted to hover for the most part over these handlebars. But after I make this text layer, I want to associate this text layer with this null object, which is tracker data. So I'm gonna drag this squiggly line that's under kind of like this parenting. You can either parent it by doing a drop down and say parent it to tracker data, or you can just drag it to the layer. Okay, what it does is it changes, says, hey, now it's associated with tracker data, and whatever the tracker data layer does, it's going to do. So now it's going to move along with the handlebars. Okay, so if we kind of go, the movie kind of starts with the text about here. Okay, I'm gonna say I want it to reveal behind the jacket. So I want to start maybe revealing it about here. Since we're getting kind of long, I'm not going to get too detailed in it. But I want to drag, since the text doesn't really start to there, I'm just going to make sure that layer didn't even show up to then. Not even the tracker data. It just visually, it just makes more sense to me. And it's going to end around here. So I might as well. Another way you could do this, if you click on the layer and you say you're zoomed in and you don't want to zoom out, you can click on the layer you want to end right at where your timeline is. You can hit Alt and the closing bracket. Okay, the brace, the one that's like the straight one. Okay, or it's really either the squiggly brace or the straight brace, but the closing, you need to do it automatically. So I'm kind of want to deal with this area, so I'm actually want to zoom into this area so I kind of see this area more detailed. Okay. All right, so here we go. Now I can see when it kind of starts, the eviction is it's chilling above the handlebars, but it kind of appears, I want it to appear kind of left, because it's always going to be over and it's not going to never be totally covered by the jacket. So what I probably want to do is I'm going to start this eviction. I'm going to hit position, the P for position, and I want to kind of start it to the left. Now, just doing this without hitting the time, the stopwatch, is going to just always keep it left. So it's always going to keep it kind of left, right? But what I can do is I can add just a regular motion tween with keyframes to kind of have it go right as he moves left, if that makes sense. So what I'm going to do is hit the stopwatch, and then I'm going to get to this. So I want to just start there, but I want it to kind of start moving over. Basically, about this point, I want it to be right in the center of the handlebars. So what I could do is I'm just going to do the X-axis, and I'm just going to move it over. All right, and I'm just going to see how that looks. So it's moving, it's moving, it's moving. Okay, so that doesn't look bad. Kind of choppy in some areas, but I can fix that. Now it's in the center. So what I want to do is I want that jacket to actually, I want it to go under the jacket. So this, I'm going to use a, kind of like a mask, but it's going to be a mask of a solid. So what I'm going to do is right click in this empty area and say new solid. Okay, and then it's going to be a black solid. Make sure it's a black solid. Hit OK. So it's going to default over. So I'm going to drag this underneath everything so I can see everything. So it's still there. And while I'm on the solid, I'm going to draw a quick, and I'm not going to get too detailed, but I just want to break it, kind of just this area right here that's going to like be the mask. So I'm just going to do just a quick pen drawing. And I don't have to get too detailed with this thing because that's not the point. And I'm just holding down the command key. I can toggle between the direct select and the pen tool so I can get rid of handles. Just make sure the main thing is kind of get this shoulder area kind of just rounded off. And I probably want to mess that up. Probably want to add an anchor point, and then make this a converted because it's just kind of bend in this jacket. Okay, that's good enough. So that's my starting point. And now, and that's a mask. So if I click this drop down arrow for the black solid, you can see I have a mask layer. And under that is mask 1. You can see by that orange color. And here, the mask path, I can change the shape of this over time. Okay? So right now, you see it just kind of stays there. But what I want to do is, if I zoom in a little bit, as he starts to walk, I want to move this mask. Okay? So just little by little, I don't have to do it frame by frame because it's going to interpolate in between. So, well, first of all, I want to add a keyframe at the beginning. My bad. I'm gonna hit the stopwatch to add that keyframe. Move about this much. And if I grab this aside, make sure everything's selected, I can just move it over. I can see nothing's really has changed in his kind of arms and stuff. But if I kind of click out and click back on and kind of alter things a little bit. Okay, and you see it just now it kind of moves with it. So as it has some big changes, you just want to just change up your anchor points or the shape. This works way smoother, as you can probably ascertain, with straight objects. So sometimes it gets caught up and it just kind of, you can only select the anchor points or something like that. Just, I kind of click on a keyframe and then I click back on it and it's usually snaps back to, let's see right here, this is looking weird. So I just really want to concentrate on where it's kind of overlapping the text. I'm not going to get too, for time's sake, crazy with this right now. And I'm pretty much wanted to be over because he kind of stops moving left about right here. Okay, and then just kind of, and I'm probably not going to end it there because I'm going to end it about right here. Pretty much where that eviction finishes tweening right. So I pretty much want to straighten this out, so it's not allowing me to make this convert vertex to, I don't know if this will work. I don't think I've ever did this before. So let's see. Yeah, that was whack. It didn't like me changing that vertex. So I just want to be a little more precise with this piece right here. You kind of went back and forth a little bit. Okay, so we can kind of see, I can get way more detailed than this. But the last step, and close this up, is I want to drag this black solid that has that mask in it. I want to drag it on top of everything. So that's what I just created. So it's like this black thing over top. And the next thing I want to do is I want to make sure the eviction layer, I want to make sure that's track map setting. And if you don't see it, do the toggle. So this track map setting. And if you don't see it again, right click in this area and hit columns or something like that. I just learned that just recently. Make sure this, for the text, not the solid, for the text, is alpha inverted map. Alright? So now it'll reveal from underneath the jacket. You can see it's kind of harsh. It's like real sharp, but if you want to soften it up, you can, for the solid with the mask in it, there's a mask feather and you can feather it. And it works just like a feather in, you know, an Illustrator. It just makes it a little softer. So I'm just going to add a feather of about 3. So just kind of, it's going to soften it up a little bit. Okay? Now, and this here's what we have. So after, of course, after we get to this point where he's done, I want to make sure this solid is kind of finished. So I'm going to click in this layer for the solid, and I'm hit Alt, right bracket, so it just kind of goes away. But you can see I can keep it covered up for this whole duration, so it always goes in and out. But even in senses like this, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing, see how it kind of gets covered up by his jacket? Here you can add the motion tweens to the text, right? So I can add I can see where it kind of about to be covered up, and I say I want to move it to the right. So let's add a keyframe right there. Then as he moves in, I want to kind of move it to the right. So as you walk it, I can see it's not as, and then I can move it back to the left when it's on his shoulder. You know, but it's never going to be, you know, you're going to have to get really, really detailed to kind of get that. But you can start moving this thing around to keep it kind of like out. Okay? So that's it. And so, you know, after you're kind of done, this is what you have.
Yo, G, you saying, fam? The man's got that bike from the store, 150 in it. They're coming to the back of the bin, fam.
Okay? So, yeah. If you have any questions, well, you can't email me because this is a video, but, yeah, I hope you learned something. And until next time, peace.